what else.
We might need to get a technical
Fighting,
advisor.
It's an uphill battle. And I'm sorry, guys.
All right,
I
you
have
got
not
us.
been making content. I'm experiencing some news burnout. It's not really my makeup to be too concerned about bad news and try to make a living off of it. And a lot of YouTubers do that. They try to make things way bigger than what they are to hyperbolize something that probably won't happen into a living. And they push this on and on and on, and I watch them every day, and that's not really my thing. And I desire to bring you things that I really want you to know about. And this is one of them. This video is something that we have to start talking about. This is a humongous problem. And before we even get into it, I would like to say that I don't begrudge anybody for wanting better for their self and their family. I would do the same thing. If I was in Mexico and I desired a better life, I would be hanging on the gate. I would be doing whatever it took to make a better life. Whatever that may be, that is exactly what I would do. So I don't begrudge anybody for trying.
Well, the subject that we want to talk about tonight, I don't think we kind of mentioned it, is immigration.
Well, the thumbnail should.
Well, it should have said it. But we want to talk about, and it's kind of a touchy subject. It's because we know people that are here illegally, and they're amazing people, and they work so hard. And Chris and I were talking about this, and this is kind of how this all came out. We were like, if we were in certain situations, we would, like Chris said, we would be fighting tooth and nail to get somewhere. But at what point does it bankrupt another country? And I have a list of stuff here, and we have some articles and some news. In addition, what's going on with the U.S. government and the physical and possible government shutdown, and so just kind of tie it all in together.
I'd like to see the comments if I could.
I'm watching them. I got them right here.
Okay, that'll work.
You want me to put it right? Well, I don't have a way to do it, but
anyway.
So that's kind of where we want to talk about tonight, because he and I have been having this discussion. And by the way, what you said about that, about people being fear-mongering a little bit and all that, he and I, we live our lives positive. We try so hard to live positive every single day. We try not to live in fear. We try not to live scared. But we try to be smart, and we try not to stick our head in the sands, and we try to educate ourselves. So when we bring you guys something, it's not that we're saying it's doom and gloom.
Get out of town. It's all going to end. Go to your bug out. I'm so sick of hearing that.
We're just saying, hey, you guys, pay attention, and let's see if we can find solutions. All right.
This is legitimately happening.
It is.
The border is open. The gates are welded open. They cannot shut them. The Biden administration has done everything to make sure this happened. This has happened in Rome. This has happened everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but most places. Well, yeah, everywhere where empires have failed, immigration was a huge issue and a huge part of it.
Yes.
So this is something we have to pay attention to, and it's something that people that are just like me and you are feeling. They're really starting to, it's really starting to affect their business and their livelihood and the way they operate. It is not the American dream. What is happening now with the immigration policy is the exact opposite of what America is supposed to be. Now, America is supposed to be a melting pot, but at what point do we say, hey, you might be part of the cartel. You might be a Chinese national that does not want the best for this country. You might be a part of Russia, 33,000 people that have come over the border. You might be one of those people. Maybe, just maybe, we should check you out. Maybe we should, do a little vetting.
Or maybe we just become so over full that we can't support it physically. And I want to talk about that a little bit. And it's harsh. Let me just tell you, it's not an easy conversation. When I was doing some of this research, it was not pretty reading some of this. Because I see both sides. My heart goes out. I just talked to a guy in Venezuela about 8 months or so ago. He's desperately trying to get his family. Someone else the other day from Colombia, desperately trying to get their family over from over there. I talked to a family in Cuba, desperately trying to get some of their family over. They're sending them supplies.
The people that came here legally,
that
are trying to get their good family over here, that know them, that know they would help the community, the United States, but are on the back burner now.
Yes, that's
where it's broken.
I think, yeah. So let's kind of, if we don't mind, I want to start with the Congress thing. Because this kind of ties in right now.
Thank you for being here.
So you guys, help me out. You want to read some of the comments real quick while I'm going to read? Oh, sorry. So right now, Congress is, so we've got a physical budget, which has once again been kicked down the road. We do not have a physical budget. You guys, it ends October the 1st. And if you guys have ever worked for the government, which I have, then you guys know when that happens, they don't pass the budget, you don't go to work. I think in 2019, I think was one of the ones that was the biggest one, and you just knocked me off my page. So I don't have it. Let's see. So anyway, 2000, that's okay, you hit this button. So I'm going to have to go back and find it. I'll try to go by memory. This is the one that I printed off for you. So in 2019, 2018, 2013, I think we've all had where we've done government shutdowns. And I think 2019 was the longest, it was 22 days. And so you tie that into the fact of what we have going on with immigration right now. And they're using that to say, hey, we're not going to pass, the Republicans are using this to say, we're not going to pass this bill because you're not giving us what we want, and we want to correct the loopholes in the Biden administration when it comes to immigration. And the Democrats are saying, no, we're not going to bend. So you guys, at the end of next week, if they do not come to an agreement, come October the 1st, we'll see what happens, but there will be possibly a government shutdown. And they're using this whole entire, is that the article that I printed out that I had? Yep. And they're calling it the Secure Borders Act, and that's what they're calling it. And that's what they're trying to attach it to the physical budget. You'll have to read some of it because I lost it on mine.
Well, guys, 400 children have come to the U.S., and what do you do? 400,000 children have come across the border, and what do you do when somebody like Mallorca?
Okay, so I'd like to. So can I interrupt you?
Go
So
ahead.
this is the So we need to back up a little bit. I don't have my article now. I really need to find it. He actually came from Cuba, just so you guys know. This secretary, he's an attorney. He came from Cuba. His parents did. So I get that he's probably partial to immigration, but he is completely destroying what our immigration laws were set for. Asylum, the children, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, read that, and I'll see if I can find my article
He has said
again.
multiple times he would not turn the children back.
Yep.
Now, when you say stuff like that, what does that do for somebody that would want a better life for their child? I mean, we've all seen videos and pictures of people actually throwing their babies over the border wall. You know, whatever it takes. This baby's going to have a better life over there. So here it is.
I found it.
But the problem is, how many of these babies and children are going to be involved in some kind of sex trafficking thing? This is a big industry, huge. And it's happening. I mean, this is a open invitation to the cartel and to everybody that has something bad on their mind to do exactly what they want. And it's all being incentivized by the Biden administration and people like Alexandro Mayorkas.
That's what I was telling you. He's the Homeland Security Secretary, and he's the one that's in charge of all this. And that's what I was telling you. He's originally from Cuba, and he's an attorney. He was the one. And they're saying that he has not been following what the policies have been in place, including the asylum. He's saying, so it was supposed to be, so it was called, so they have like 400,000 children, I think, have come in to the unaccompanied since the Biden administration have come into there. And they've also said that, hang on, I want to say this, because it was a parole, immigration parole that was supposed to be used. They've been paroling tens of thousands of inadmissible aliens into the U.S. each month, you guys, based on the nationality, providing them at least 2 years of temporary status and giving them immediate work authorization. And you guys, this is in writing. This is an article. This was intended to be used as a humanitarian, like if someone could not get across the border because there was an asylum, or they were seeking asylum, or certain things like that. Well, they are just handing these out left and right. I want to go back and forth because I see both sides, but he's taking these bills and he's not using them correctly. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, and I've been researching this, and I'm kind of worried. I came out and told Chris, I said, if we pay for all this, we're going to bankrupt America.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. She keeps going. No. It's fine. Look, there's no easy fix. It is broken. The immigration system is completely broken, and it's kind of like the mayor in New York that's putting them out on the streets now. You got a story about that as well.
Yep.
But as she gets into the story, just know it's like a bad parent. We've all known those people that treated their children like, oh, it's okay, little Johnny type parents. Oh yeah, he's doing it, and it's really bad what he's doing. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, don't do that. Don't, no. Yeah, well, it's okay. And then all of a sudden, their child's so bad, they're like, well, you just got to get out of the house. You just got to go, go play in the street and throw rocks at cars. We've known those kind of parents. We know how their children end up, and this is the exact same example that these people are putting. This is what's happening. This is the same thing. It's happening in New York right now.
It's happening in New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and I'm going to give you some examples of different things that are happening, and you guys can tell me what you guys think. But basically, there's in what they have done with these open borders. Oh, and I talked to someone today about this. The open borders, they said, is the Border Patrol. They said there's many places of the Border Patrols, of the borders, that have no Border Patrol agents because all they are doing all day long, you guys, is processing immigrants. And they were claiming that Abbott is shipping them to certain locations, but they said a lot of them are getting there on their own. They were telling me how many were dead. I think in the last couple of months, there's been like over 1,000 dead, and that's just what they know of, that they're risking their lives to get here. This is becoming a crisis. This is becoming, I really think, a humanitarian and also kind of a national security crisis because now we have them come into our cities. We're housing them in hotels. We don't have the funds. People are literally, they're taking food from people that would normally be getting them, like homeless people, our citizens. They're giving them to them, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But that's where I told Chris, I said, if they keep printing money, at what point can we sustain this?
Yeah, well, this is how currency does. This is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to whip up some more funny money. They're going to use this as leverage. And that's how, we all know it's coming. Most of you are stackers, and those of you that are not, and you're interested in hedging your wealth, Stacey's number's on the board, but go somewhere else first. I'm telling you the truth. I get 3 bids for everything I do. Please, just do that. But this is how the currency does. And mass immigration, migration, whatever you want to call it, invasion is what I'd like to call it, is part of it. This is all part of it, and it is going to cost the taxpayers out the wazoo. So the mayor, I'll just tell you right now, so the migrant crisis is getting so hard for New York City to handle that Mayor Eric Adams is going to start sending thousands of people in the street, many with nowhere to sleep, nowhere to work, and that's his next best move. And he is saying that he's hoping to do that to send a message to other immigrants that are coming. Please don't come to the city. They actually went to the border and passed out flyers, and they said, we're too expensive to live here. Don't come see us. They did what was it, the bunch of the senators or congressmen or whatever, they went to the Roosevelt, the hotel the other day. AOC was there. Oh, yeah, they booed them.
And they booed them. Protesters showed up, and I think they thought it was going to be a walk in the park, that immigrants were going to be saying, thank you so much, when instead, I guess they're not treating the hotel so well, from what I understand. And you know what, you guys, there's some really good people probably. They're not all bad people, but when you have an influx of this many people, thousands and thousands across the border every single day, there's no place to put them. They can't get work status. Now they're trying to fast track it, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Biden has come out and he said, quote, this is his plan. He's going to send more money to sanctuary cities. Now you guys tell me, where is that going to come from? Where? Us, taxpayer dollars.
Well, and it'll probably come through the form of inflation, the tax that nobody really sees and can pay attention to. They don't really see it. They just think, oh well, and it's kind of, well, they'll just get it. They'll just whip it up and they'll give it out. But eventually that comes home to roost in the form of inflation. Every single time. It's the tax nobody has to vote for. It's the easy way and the way the government always picks to fund this kind of behavior. And this is all of this is 100% preventable. We could have had the amount of money we're going to spend on people that have not been vetted, that are here for probably wrong reasons. I'm not saying all of them. Please don't think that. We could have built 10 walls all the way around everything. That is a cop-out. It is not about money. We could have built a wall 40 foot high, electrify it, and have armed guards all the way around it for the amount of money that we're going to pay through all sorts of inflation, shrinkflation, all these things that the government's going to whip up money to pay for. This is just the death knell. On top of, look, this doesn't have anything to do with the news, but I want to, this is coming at a time where millennials and not just millennials, Gen X, let's go there. These very weak men that have raised these children that personally I wouldn't hire for my welding business. I'm more likely to hire an illegal immigrant that will work his butt off. Not somebody that wants to know when break time is. They're probably more hungry. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I'm just saying there's businesses that are going to do that. Mm-hmm. This is going to take away from the people that have been making bad decisions. I guess they deserve it, right? It's just kind of something to think through. So you've got these young entitled kids that play Xbox and all the other games, and that's what they do. That's it. They're not producers. And you've got, on the other hand, a migrant that hasn't had anything. He's hungry. Yep. He's willing to do whatever.
Yep.
Who do you think's going to get the job? Mm-hmm. This is a big deal, and to bring this back a little bit more, who it's the biggest deal for is the migrants that are already here, the migrants that want to get their family over here, the migrants that have been here doing the right thing, paying their taxes, doing all these things. And now the people rolling over the border are getting coached through social media to take advantage of all of these subsidies, these entitlements. You come to America and everything's free. That's, hey, who would be opposed to that? When you come through the border at South Texas and you ask to go to New York City, see, people think it's all Abbott. Yeah. People think it's Mayor Abbott.
No, they're asking.
It's because Adams rolled out the welcome mat because he was negative on Abbott. He wanted to be the opposite of Abbott. So he's like, yeah, come here, we got you. Now he's throwing them in the street. He asked for this. Abbott gave them 10%. The other 90% went because Adams, out of New York, the most broken state, I would say, is encouraging bad behavior. It's all part of it, guys. This is all part of the collapse. It's all, we're here. It seems to be so slow, but we're getting there really quickly.
All right, so I just want to go on. So we're apparently, so the goal is, by the Biden administration, is we're going to send more money to sanctuary cities. We're going to speed up the work permits so that they're going to get work permits. And how they're going to actually work, I don't know, because they can't get licensed to drive. However, there are a few states that are going to start issuing license, and I want to get into that in a second. They're going to start fast-tracking citizenship, supposedly. They're also saying they're going to need to get a way to get them these funds. So here we go. We're going to usher in a CBDC that you guys can get these funds straight from the Federal Reserve, from the government. Driver's license. You've got several different states right now that are actually going to issue driver's license. So, pros and cons on that. And I was thinking about this. Because I get it. People are fighting to get here. I get it. And that's where we're saying, where do you draw the line? Where does it bankrupt America? Where is to the point we can no longer sustain the number of people coming on? But driver's license. So when you get a driver's license, typically, what do? You mark register to vote. So do you get a right to vote? I don't know. That's what typically happens. 2, you're supposed to get insurance. Are you going to get insurance? If you don't get a driver's license and you don't have insurance, how do you get to work? What happens if you have a wreck? There's so many like pros and cons. I mean, I see the benefit of giving them a driver's license, but do they get to vote then? So I was going through pros and cons today as I was going down the list of different things. Like you were said, the work permits. It's going to take away jobs. However, they're hungry. They want to come in. They want to work. I get it. We'd be fighting too if we had to go to another country.
Yeah, I would.
Healthcare. That's what Chris and I were also talking about. We're like, okay, healthcare. How is that going to start affecting the healthcare? Are our hospitals going to get so over inundated with some of these people coming in? Because apparently some of them are coming in with health issues from what we're hearing.
Yeah. Do they have they been vaccinated?
There's no way to know.
Have they, it goes, guys, these people do exactly the opposite of what they tell you to do. This is the example of do what I say, not what I do. And, we just don't know anything about them. That's the thing. We don't know anything about these people. We don't know if they're here for the better or for worse or what. That should be the least. But we can't tell because the border's so overwhelmed. Nobody knows whether they're washing, drying, or hanging out. There's no. It's just a willy-nilly. It's a free-for-all at the border.
Well, they've overworked the Border Patrol people where they can't even apparently stand there and monitor it. They're coming in. And I've seen videos, and you guys have seen videos. So they're paying for hotels. They're paying for these tent sites. They're paying for all of the, and who's paying? The government. The government's apparently paying, from what I can understand, the research I did today, paying the states. The states are paying the local counties. And so somebody's making money off of this. Food. I did some research about that today. They're having to provide them with food. Where's that coming from? That's taken then from our local citizens' food. I'm not begrudging it. I'm just saying, you guys, we need to look at the big picture.
Hey, we got a super chat, by the way.
I get it. Oh, sorry.
When they destroy the economy, they go to war. And this is on the way. War, we've never been so close to World War III since I've been alive. And I got some news last week that the United States is preparing for it. We are, and it's actually here pretty close, where it's going to happen from. And I don't want to go too far into it, but yeah, I agree. Garrett. We are more than likely going to go to war. And that's hard for us to imagine. It's hard for me to imagine because we've really never had a war here.
Haven't.
And I'd like to say it's inevitable, but I hope not. I hope it just keeps going and we push that off. I think we do. I'm still really optimistic, guys. I'm optimistic that we're going to prosper after this. We're going to get close and we're going to have this prosperity, and then later on we actually do enter the Thunderdome. Even though we're kind of already in the Thunderdome. Anything post-2020 goes, including wearing a mask, riding a bicycle, that kind of thing. But
so the last thing I want to talk about is schools, you guys. It's overrunning the schools.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you. Yeah, so much. And thanks just for your support. Thanks for your comments. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing what you have to say. I love hearing the feedback. But schools, you guys, too. It's overrunning the schools. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about how they're literally having to, children that were currently in certain schools, they're having to bus them to other schools because of the overrun of the immigrants that are coming in. Once again, I'm not saying I'm against immigrants. I'm not. If I was somewhere in Venezuela right now, if I was in Cuba, if I was in certain places right now, if you look right now, I think Africa is overrunning the island of Italy. I think there's only like 6,000 citizens there. I think the last count, they said there was like 17,000 that have showed up. They're overrunning them. They're desperate. But at what point then, I told Chris, I said, my thing was, at what point could it possibly bankrupt our country? What could it bankrupt our states? Or do they just print so much money that we just print our money into oblivion just to sustain this? I think, and matter of fact, I did a poll the other day on our YouTube thing, and one of the big things for 2024 election is going to be immigration.
Well, that's probably what it'll be going back to. Do we print our money into oblivion? It'll probably be where BRICS creates their own currency, which they already have, and they get away from the petrodollar. And we have our little currency that devalues and devalues and devalues. And then we come kind of the stagflation. And during that time, usually, according to history, when two superpowers collide, there's a war, usually. And that is kind of what we're looking at. We're kind of looking at straight in the face. So, it's going to be kind of all of the above. It's going to be like a strange situation where goods are expensive, good work, not jobs, not the jobs that they lie about all the time. I mean, real jobs that actually pay. And then you've got AI trying to do their thing in the job market. Yep. That's taking away jobs. So it's going to be a very poor environment to try to gain. Well, that's why we talk about side hustles. Yep. And I try to bring up things to get people to make more money than they consume. And because right now is probably the best time to do that. And if you hadn't started now, like today's like the best time. So start actively pursuing a side hustle, because that's how I plan on getting prepared for what's coming. That and hedging with all kind of precious metals and such.
We do, that's right, side hustles, and we talk about that all the time with Bud. He was on here with us just the other day. We just got another super chat. Thank you, Bless USA 123. America's debt is $260 trillion. I thought it was like 55. Or no, 30. It hit like 33, and it was supposed to hit 50. So how do we come up with the
global debt? Maybe
I don't know. America's debt. He said, I don't know.
That is.
But I know they did say we hit 33 the other day.
Trillion.
He said we hit 33 trillion the other day. They said it's the first time in the history that we have been in this much in debt. They were talking about it. I put that actually on our Twitter. If you follow us on Twitter, I put a lot of that on there. And they were talking about that and how they expect we'll hit in probably another year or two, maybe even 3. They were forecasting that we'll be at 50 trillion. And I'm like, how can we sustain that? And that's what I was talking to Chris. I said, and you throw everything else that's going on. And like, again, I'm not knocking the illegal immigrants. I am not. If I was in some of their conditions, in their places, I'd be fighting to get over here with Chris as hard as I could too. But how long can you sustain that?
I've got 31.4 trillion.
It hit 33.
Right.
The other day.
Okay.
Because I actually posted that on the Twitter.
31, 33. I don't know where you're getting.
I don't know.
Let me know where you're getting 260 trillion.
Someone just said 33.1 trillion right now. Yeah, that's about right, because it hit 33 about 3 days ago. So that's about right. Yep, absolutely. But anyway, that's kind of some of the stuff that Chris and I were talking about. And we were even talking about how I watched some interviews the other day about some law enforcement, some border patrol, different people like that. And they said the cartel at this point is actually making more money off the caravans, getting them across, than they are almost in the drug market. But they're still passing along the drugs with some of these people that they're pushing across the border, because a lot of it's been confiscated, and they were talking about that also. So that's just kind of some of the stuff that
fentanyl's coming from China. See, China's got, I think they've got different sectors that try to corrupt and dismantle the United States. They have people within, and they have the drugs flowing over the border like nonstop. Fentanyl's so cheap and powerful. I can't remember how much is here and how many people it could actually kill.
It was a lot.
All you have to do is get near it, get on your skin. I mean, it's so powerful. And from what I can tell, people get addicted to it immediately. So, you've got all these things, and it's just, this is really getting kind of doomy. I really like to think optimistically.
Well, it's a touchy subject, because I see both sides. I see people so desperate to get out of a bad situation to get here. I get it. And then you also have the bad apples, as you do in every situation. And how do we do that? And then we turn around, is the taxpayer going to pay for it? How do we take care of that? What do we do? Do we give them work permits? Do we give them driver's license? And I think we're at a crossroads where this is something we really need to address, because we have I think it's, when I last looked online, it was around, was it close to 19, 20 million, I think, illegal.
What do you do? Do you not give them a driver's license so they can't go to work?
Well, that's what I was talking about.
Do you just keep them here and become the nanny state that we already are, and be more of a nanny state that where you just take care of them, but they can't work?
So if they get driver's license, do they get to vote then?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's
what
something
it
to
is,
think through.
yeah, it is. And
So-
because a lot of them, I know, they won't even open up bank accounts. You know, they want everything cash. And
Yeah, they're definitely, especially the backwoods, and I'm not talking about Mexicans. I'm talking about anybody coming over the border.
they don't trust banks.
They do, yeah, and which I don't either. But rightly so. Maybe they've been right all along. But what do? You know and we're gonna be the ones that are left with this bag. The United States citizens are holding the bag that the people in charge are giving. Here's a bag. Here's the immigrant bag. You get to take care of those. And they vote themselves pay raises, and then that's it. And then you've got them in there that are so old they can't even make a sentence. I mean, it's getting kind of nutty, guys. And the border thing is it's probably paramount above everything right now, I would say.
I think it's a bigger issue than what we really want to talk about. And I think it's a sensitive issue because I think a lot of us see both sides. And we just got a super chat, and I'll read it in just 5 seconds. But I think it's a sensitive issue because I think all of us don't want to see people hurting. We want the best for everybody. And I know a lot of amazing people that have come over here and become citizens. And you see the horrible stories of different countries and how they've gotten over here. You want everybody to have that American dream. But when I was doing the numbers today, and I was doing all the research, and I was looking at all the debt, and I was looking at how much it cost, and the taxes, and the schools, and the food, and the health care, and I said, whoa, we can't sustain this at some point. Well, I mean, look at the mayor of New York. He's kicking them out. He's putting them on the streets because he can't even afford them, and they're a sanctuary city. At some point, then what happens to those people? Where do they go? Do they sleep on the streets? How do they get food? And I think it's something that we need to address.
Jake's Custom Auto Parts, he's saying $200 trillion plus of unfunded liabilities, which is exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Social Security, military, etc. So
okay, I see that. I get that. That makes sense.
Right.
That does.
And the funny thing is, all that hinges on the stock market, most of it. Well, I guess all of it. And as far as Social Security and pensions and all that, so you can bet that the stock market's going to go to nosebleed highs. That's what it did in all the other locations. Venezuela, Weimar Germany, all the other places that experienced inflation that is not coming down anytime soon. It might go up a little bit more or maybe a lot more, but coming down is not, interest rates high. All of that is kind of baked in at this point. It's kind of a stalemate. That's why I've been saying stagflation. That's kind of what we're looking at. That's why I've been holding off buying a plasma table, buying a brake, buying some tools that I actually need. Because I think some businesses that we know, some people that are close to us, or not close to us, but
associates
they're in a bind already. Guys, I mean, it's getting bad, but I expected the people I knew to be a little more solvent than they are. So, that's when the deals come, and hopefully, like I said before, we're going to experience some prosperity and be able to take advantage of their poor decisions, because it's going to be up to us to do that. It's going to be up to us to take advantage and
I don't like that word. Not advantage.
Somebody has got to help the situation.
You're going to hopefully have a community that you have formed that when you see someone going down, you can say, "Hey, we'll help you. We'll get you out of this situation."
No, I disagree. I agree with what you're saying.
I don't like that word though. It just sounds.
But some people have made the wrong decisions.
They do.
And they're going to let go of their stuff.
They do.
Who needs to buy it? You or the government?
That's true.
It's that simple.
I agree with you on that. I do.
Somebody's got to be solvent.
I agree.
I hope it's not only the government with printed money. I hope
agree.
it's citizens like me and you and all of you guys that can actually turn that and make a profit and build the economy back up, because this is what the economy does. Right now, we're way up here. We're just starting to crest over, and we're starting to see people that I never thought would be in this situation are there. They couldn't afford the payments when interest rates were low. Now they're up on variable rate.
And they're screwed.
They're done. They're done. The writing is on the wall. Now it's like, what are we going to do?
Yep.
Well, you should have talked to me before you done any of that. But now you're kind of on your own. You've kind of made your bed. So
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Instead of like BlackRock, Blackstone, stuff like that coming in and picking that kind of stuff up.
It sounds harsh.
No, it's harsh. You're right. It just sometimes, I guess, those words, I'm like, I don't want, but you're right. We need to be in a position that we can help other people and pick this stuff up and make our community stronger as we go along. But can I tell a funny story? All right,
Funny
you guys,
story.
let's talk about Capitol Hill. Have you guys seen, I could not believe this has actually become an issue. The dress policy has actually become a huge issue on Capitol Hill. They're actually discussing it. They're taking votes. These people are coming to Capitol Hill dressed like slobs. I mean, you should see what they're wearing. And I didn't know this till the other day, but I think it was like 1993 that women couldn't even wear pants. They couldn't even wear open-toe shoes. I didn't know that till the other day, and I thought that was just kind of interesting.
Crocs and
now they're wearing
Crocs and pajamas.
They are, and so they're taking a vote, and they are going to say what their dress code should be. I mean, you guys, how pathetic is that we're in this kind of situation and they're worried about their dress code on Capitol Hill? My goodness, if you're going to be a senator or congressman, put at least a decent pair of pants on and show up and be something. But
that sounds familiar. When Rome was falling, the people in charge were arguing if the angels were male or female.
They were.
And that's how
it's a diversion.
Yeah, it's concerning yourself with things that have nothing to do with anything.
Yep. And by the way, they're supposed to be doing the physical budget, and they had a chaos on Capitol Hill, and they said they quit and they left, and they're gone for the weekend, and they won't be back till Monday. So you guys, let's see what happens this coming week. It should be interesting. They've got until Friday to get something done, or I don't know. We'll see what happens. They have till October the 1st, which is a Sunday. So they got till Friday, I guess, close of business. All right. Well, that's all I've
so many times.
I know, and they just kick the
We're
can
gonna
down the
shut
road.
down.
But they have. They've done it. They've done it like 5 times in the last couple of years.
How long did that last?
The last one was 22 days, and I remember those people.
Yeah, but
they were hurting for 22 days. Those people that live paycheck to paycheck got nothing. They were hurting. And I remember talking to them. I'd already left the government at that time, but I remember talking to them, and they could not wait to get that back pay, and they were living on credit cards.
But the moral of the story is,
they
were okay.
Oh.
They just kicked the can down the
They
road.
did.
But the road is ending. The road is starting to get rocky, starting to run out. We're right there at the cul-de-sac. We're running out, guys. We're going to have to do something, and we're going to make videos when we get there. As we get into it, we're going to try to have these live streams and do that. So please hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you guys for being here. Have an awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. And now I've got to get up and turn the camera on.
And I just kept interrupting you. Sorry.